There's one secret that every wealthy person knows, but they'll never tell you. Not because they're evil, but because the moment you understand this, their advantage disappears forever. I'm about to break the unwritten rule of wealth. What you're about to learn took me 15 years to figure out, and it's gonna make you angry. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. This isn't about investing, business, or side hustles. This is about the psychological game that separates the rich from everyone else. You know what's crazy? Poor people share everything. They share their strategies, their struggles, their dreams. They're generous with their knowledge because they believe collaboration lifts everyone up. Rich people, they share nothing that actually matters. They'll write books about mindset, give speeches about hard work, post inspirational quotes. But the real secret, the one thing that actually creates wealth, radio silence. And here's what makes me furious. It's not even that complicated. They're not keeping it secret because it's some genius strategy. They're keeping it secret because it's so simple, you'd be pissed that no one told you sooner. I discovered this by accident. 3 years ago, I got invited to a private dinner with 8-figure entrepreneurs. I wasn't supposed to be there. Someone canceled last minute, and I got their spot. For 3 hours, I listened to conversations that would never happen in public. No cameras, no recordings, no social media posts, just raw, unfiltered truth about how wealth really works. What I learned that night changed my entire financial trajectory. And today, I'm breaking their code of silence. Here's the secret they'll never tell you. Rich people don't think about money the way you do. You think about money as something you earn, save, and spend. Rich people think about money as something they control, multiply, and weaponize. You ask, how do I make more money? They ask, how do I make money work for me while I sleep? You think, I need to work harder to earn more? They think, I need to work smarter to earn without working. But here's the part that will blow your mind. This isn't about intelligence. It's about programming. Rich people were programmed differently, usually from childhood, to see money as a tool, not a goal. Poor people chase money. Rich people chase systems that generate money. Poor people think in terms of income. Rich people think in terms of assets. Poor people focus on saving money. Rich people focus on making money multiply. Let me give you a real example that happened at that dinner. Someone mentioned they were buying a $2 million house. Everyone else nodded approvingly. But then came the follow-up questions that poor people never ask. What's the cash flow? How's the depreciation schedule? Are you planning to 1031 exchange? What's your exit strategy? They weren't buying a house to live in. They were buying an asset that would either generate income, provide tax benefits, or appreciate faster than inflation. The house was a tool, not a home. Meanwhile, poor people buy houses thinking about monthly payments, neighborhood schools, and granite countertops. They're buying a liability and calling it an asset. This is the programming difference. Rich people were taught to see everything through the lens of, does this make me money or cost me money? Poor people were taught to see things through the lens of, do I want this or need this? But here's the actual secret, the one they guard most carefully. Rich people understand that wealth isn't about making money, it's about keeping money. Every wealthy person I know has mastered the art of making their money untouchable. Not hidden, not illegal, untouchable through legal structures, tax strategies, and asset protection. They use business entities to minimize taxes. They use debt strategically to leverage other people's money. They structure their assets so that even if they get sued, divorced, or face financial disaster, their wealth survives. Poor people focus on gross income. Rich people focus on net worth protection. Poor people celebrate making $100,000 a year. Rich people celebrate keeping $100,000 after taxes, expenses, and wealth protection strategies. The secret isn't making money, it's creating a financial fortress that money can't escape from. So, why don't rich people share this? 3 reasons. First, it sounds boring. Build wealth protection systems doesn't sell books, like follow your passion and money will follow. Second, it requires infrastructure. You need accountants, lawyers, business structures. Poor people hear this and think, that's too complicated. Rich people hear this and think, that's my competitive advantage. Third, and this is the uncomfortable truth, scarcity benefits them. If everyone understood wealth protection, everyone would pay less in taxes, everyone would protect their assets, everyone would think like an owner instead of an employee. The system works because most people don't understand the system. Rich people benefit from your financial ignorance, so they have zero incentive to educate you. Here's what really makes me angry. Rich people actively promote ideas that keep you poor. They tell you to follow your passion while they follow profit systems. They tell you money isn't everything while they structure their entire lives around wealth protection. They tell you to be grateful for what you have while they aggressively pursue what they want. They've convinced poor people that wanting wealth is greedy, that financial strategy is boring, that business structures are for other people. Meanwhile, they're using every legal advantage available to build generational wealth, while you're worried about whether wanting financial freedom makes you materialistic. This is psychological warfare disguised as wisdom. They benefit from your noble poverty while they practice ruthless wealth building. So what do you do now that you know? First, stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner. Every purchase decision should be, does this make me money or cost me money? Second, educate yourself on legal tax strategies and asset protection. Rich people don't avoid taxes illegally. They minimize taxes legally through strategies most people don't know exist. Third, start building systems, not just income. Create something that generates money without your constant time input. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because I'm going to keep exposing the financial truths they don't want you to know. Comment below. What's one financial rule you've been following that might be keeping you poor? Remember, they win when you don't know the game exists. Now you know.